So in this video, I want to talk about one of the examples of SAT math problem. And the question is a line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1/7. Which of the following point lies on the line? And there are some choices for our answers. And before you think about this question, let's think about the solutions of this question. At first, we need to think about in terms of a linear function. It is because we know that it is a line on the coordinate plane. Only the line should be a linear function form. So we need to complete the linear function form according to a given information. Also, we need to think about in terms of the properties of functions, how the function work. So let's think about some given information. So at first, a line in the xy plane passes. So if you write down a line, that means it will going to be a linear function. So linear function. And also, let's think about more things that it passes through the origin. That means let's draw a coordinate plane right over here. Passes through the origin means it passes a origin point, which is in this case will going to be 0, 0. So we pass it through the origin, which means it has a coordinate. It passes through a coordinate 0, 0. And also it has a slope of 1/7. And the slope is equal to 1/7. So we have think about the given information that we are given. Before you think about this question, I want to say something that I just ordered every function problem of SAT math problem in order. And you better look at from the first example so that you can get this question. So at first, you know that it is a linear function, as we have said, a line. So let's think about how the function works. So for the function of this question, we're going to be y, and it contains a specific equation. And for the function, it always have its particular input, and then there will be a function systematically. And then finally, it will have a specific output. And this is how the function works. So let's think about in terms of a linear functions form. For the linear function form, so linear function form, linear function form is based on the y is equal to mx plus b. So I'm going to talk about it. X is a x value, m is a slope value, and the b is a y-intercept. Y-intercept means there is a coordinate, but x value 0 and the y value is there. That means it is a y value when the x value is equal to 0. And then according to that equation, y is a specific output of this function. But we can feel some things that we know that the slope of this function is 1/7, which means the m in this case will going to be 1/7. So it will going to be y is equal to 1/7x plus b. So at first, let's think about in terms of a case of the b. It is a case where the x value is equal to 0. But we need to read the question carefully that it passes through the origin, which means it passes through 0, 0. It is a case where x value is equal to 0. So the y value will going to be a b value, but it is just 0. So we'll just simplify it as 0. Y is equal to 1/7x plus 0. Or we can write nothing. So this is a complete form of it. So we can think about in terms of a number of possibilities for these answers right over here. So at first, let's think about in terms of 0, 7. So 0, 7, which means the x value will going to be 0 And the y value will going to be 7. So it will going to be a y value. So according to our equation, y is equal to 1 over 7x. If we input the value of 0, it should give us 7. So if the value of x is equal to 0, we get y is equal to 1 over 7 times 0, which is just 0. That means we can cancel this out because they told us the y value should be 7. So next, let's think about in terms of a c, which is just right side of a value. So for 7, 7, x value, which is we're going to be a input of the function is 7, output is y, which is 7 in this case. So according to our equation, y is equal to 1 over 7x. If we input the value of 7 to the x, we get y should equal to 1 over 7 times 7, and that should be equal to 7. But 7 and a 7 we're going to cancel out as 1, and we get 1 is equal to 7, which is clearly not our answer. So we can also cancel our c from our answer. Now let's think about in terms of d. So d is a case where, so if you draw it in a different color, so it is 14, 2. 14 is the x value, and the output, which is 2 in this case, will going to be y. So let's write our function down. Y is equal to 1 over 7x. If we input the value of 14 to the x value, we get the y value will going to be 2. So 2 is equal to 1 over 7 times 14. And the 7 and a 14 we're going to cancel out as 1. 1 times 2 is 2, which is clearly same thing with our answer. So we can say that our answer for this question will going to be D in this case. And so for our answer D. And let's think about it in terms of a graph of the function. And for the graph of the function is not important when it comes to solving for the answer of this question. But the reason why I'm doing this is because if we go to more advanced SAT math problem, it's hard to solve for that question if you don't really know about the graphs. So let's think about it in terms of the graph of the function. So if you write our function down, we get y is equal to 1 over 7x. Y is equal to 1 over 7x. And we know that it is clearly a linear function as we have learned in the intro part right over here. So for the linear function, if you graph it, it won't gonna be a parabola, it will just going to be a straight line based on equation. Y is equal to 1 over 7x. So for the line, we only need 2 points to graph it. So easy points to do when it is 0. But instead of calculating this, we can use our information that it passes through the origin, which means when the x value is 0, the y value is also going to be 0. So we're going to be 0, 0. So right over here, where the coordinate is 0, 0. Let's think about the case where the x is 7. So when x is equal to 7, y is equal to 1 over 7. Instead of x, we input the value of 7 times 7. And then we get 7 and a 7. We're going to cancel out as 1. We get y is equal to 1. So when x value is 7, y value is 1. So we can also graph it. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. So it will going to be point right over here. So if you graph it, it will going to be something look like this. And this line is based on our equation. Y is equal to 1 over 7x. So y is equal to 1 over 7x. And we know one more point right over here. It is a case where the x is 7 and the y is 1 right over here. So we talked about the graph of the function y is equal to 1 over 7x. And if you look at our graph, it is almost close to the 0. The reason is because of its slope, 1 over 7x. Slope shows, if you write down, slope shows how steep is a function is. If you look at it, our slope is 1 over 7, which is almost close with 1 over 0. So that's why our function is almost close to 0. So we have talked about solving for this question, and at first we need to think about what function is it from our answer, from our question. And then we also need to think about in terms of informations that are given. We also talked about how the function works. So we feel how we completed the linear function form in order to solve for the question easier than before. And we got that answer in this case will going to be D.